Transition, Access, and Retention Services, and we call it STARS for short because that is a lot to say. And I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit about who we are and what we do this evening. But I'm really excited to answer any questions, to provide some perspective, and to really hopefully provide some information that gives you a better sense of how we can support you during your time at UMW. So with that being said, I like to always start by talking about why I love what I do. And I'll be brief with it, but I want to say that I came from rural Virginia, very small town, high school graduating class of less than, I'm not even going to say the number because you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but a very small town. I was a first year student going to college, coming from a very modest income family. So I say all that to say I entered into the college space with not having a lot of understanding of what to expect, what I was about to experience, and it hit me hard. And so I had the opportunity, though, to go through a transition experience with a program similar to what I do here at the university. And it made all the difference. It really helped me to get connected to people, the places, and the things that became my lifeline and resources throughout my entire college experience and people that I still keep up with today. And so I I look back at that experience and say that had I not had it, I don't know what my 4 years in college would have been like if I would have been able to survive the whole 4 years. So I love what I do because I now get to be that resource. I now get to be that answer to the question. I now get to be that person that new students look up to and get to lean on to make sure that they have the resources and they have the things that they need to be successful at the university. Prior to coming to UMW, I was a high school teacher and I taught college success curriculum as well as I was a school counselor. So I've spent pretty much my entire professional career working in a capacity to help students make that transition from high school to college, to know the answers to the questions and to have access to resources and information. And I've been here at the university for it'll be 14 years this year. So I love what I do because I know what it did for me, and I now have joy and I take pride in being able to be that same resource to other students. With that being said, let me tell you a little bit about STARS. Our whole purpose as a space at the University of Mary Washington is to support all students, but particularly to be a lifeline for our first and family, our students who have a higher need for paying for college, and students who may come from those areas like myself that don't have a lot of access to resources and things outside of the small areas that we grow up in. And our whole goal is to provide you with community while you're at the university, to provide you with opportunities that are going to develop you personally and professionally to make sure that when you leave UMW with your degree, that you feel ready to go into the real world and take it on full storm and be the best you can be. And we do that in a number of different ways. First, starting with we want to make sure that your onboarding experience at the university is solid, that you come in the right way, meaning that you feel like you are connected to all the people, places, and things that are going to be influential and they're going to be important to helping you be your best self here at the university. We do that in a number of different ways, particularly our summer transition program, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. The second thing, we know paying for college can be a challenge. So for students who have a higher financial need, we have resources that we are able to use to support students in that process of paying for college, helping to fill in the gap where maybe your scholarships and grants didn't cover your entire tuition balance. And so we do a lot of early on onboarding, a lot of early on intervention in the onboarding process to make sure that you are getting access to resources, that you have people to advise and to tell you how to make the best decisions possible that are going to set you up both academically and both financially starting your time here at the university. Secondly, college is not all about being in the classroom. It's about the personal development that you get from the opportunities and the experiences and the things that will expose you to some things that maybe you haven't seen before. So we do a lot in our center to create a social atmosphere where students can come hang out. Matter of fact, if you were to be on campus and never stop by, you'd probably see that there are 10 to 15, sometimes more than 20 students that hang out in our space, whether that be formally because we're doing a program or informally just because they're looking for a space to chill with their peers in between classes. Students hang out in our suite and watch movies, they do homework. The way we have our space set up, it allows for students to do a number of different things. They eat all our snacks because we try to keep food in the space, but we try to provide an atmosphere that gives students an outlet and in a space where they can connect to peers, but also, have a place where they can continue to grow as individuals. As well as we try to get our students off campus. I am in the process of planning our end of year trips for both our lower level students, our freshman and sophomore students, as well as our junior senior students. We have a trip lined up to New York for our junior senior students. They're actually going to see another Broadway play, as well as some other opportunities in the New York City to just explore and to get out of the city of Fredericksburg and see this big world that lies before us. So we do a lot of things again to keep our students engaged, not just in the learning process, but in the places and things that are going to give them the opportunity to grow as individuals. We also try to make sure that our students are connected to the resources that will serve them while they're here. So our career center, our core, our volunteering center, where students get the opportunities to um, apply for scholarships and to meet employers and to do things that are going to service them in terms of developing themselves. We do a lot to make sure that students have access to all those things and that they know what's coming down the pipeline and how to apply, so forth and so on. We also have a team of people who, like myself, who have gone through this college experience and know how challenging it can be. And so we have a dedicated student retention specialist, a dedicated financial aid person, as well as other folks on our team that are here for whatever you have questions about while you're at the university, whether it be academically, whether it be socially, whether it be personally. We have a team of individuals who are dedicated to make sure that you get the answers to those questions. And if we can't answer it, we get you connected to the right person who can. And so you don't ever have to feel like you are alone in this college process. You will always know that you have individuals who are there to support, who are there to guide, who are there to be a listening ear, and whatever you need to make sure that you are continuing to push forward and be your best self. And sometimes when things get challenging for students who, again, who have a higher financial need, we have access to emergency assistance funding, where for students who may have a laptop break, which we've had this happen several times this year, a laptop breaks or crashes on you, or you have an opportunity to travel abroad for a conference or for some type of um, experiential learning experience, but you may not have the funding to support those needs. We are able to support students in those processes to make sure that the only thing you have to worry about is focused on learning, focus on being your best self in the classroom, and not having to worry about some of those pesky needs that get in the way of you being able to give your full attention to the things you need to. So that is who we are as a nutshell in the Star Center. But I want to transition for a second to talk about one of our premier programs, which is the STP experience. And that is opportunity for you to get early access to college life, to understand what college is going to be like, and do so with other incoming first year students. So STP, which stands for the Summer Transition Program, is a 2 week summer residential experience because you do live on campus, where students get a real feel for what it's like to be a student while taking classes and while learning all the resources that the campus has to offer. During the STP summer experience, students take 2 classes for credit, and those are credit towards your degree. So your overall number of credits that you have to complete to graduate, those classes apply to that. At the same time, those students are living in the residence halls. They're eating in the dining hall. They're getting to hang out in the university center as well as our other student center, and to really get a feel for when I get here to the University of Mary Washington in August. I am comfortable with understanding where things are. I am comfortable with understanding who on campus does what offices service what, because I've had the opportunity in the summer to really get a clear understanding of where all of these resources lie and how they support me and my learning experience. And as I said before, we like to have fun. It's not just about the classroom experience. We have a team of dedicated summer counselors that work that summer experience, and these are upperclassmen students who provide an experience for you as a student to get to know your peers socially, as well as to get to have fun and hang out, whether it be going to the mall, the movies. We tend to do a summer trip to a theme park. Last couple of years, we've gone to Busch Garden, Kings Dominion, different things of that nature to make sure that we have a roundabout experience for students when they come here for those 2 weeks, to really get to understand what it's like to be a student at the University of Mary Washington. And just to give some context to the classes that you take on the summer, the first is IDIS 111, which is a course that I like to call the mirror class, and is really geared towards helping you to start to be reflective, And who am I as a student? What skill sets do I feel like I have that are strengths? What are some areas of challenge that I may need to work on? And we do a lot of focusing on areas in which you can build success skills, whether it be in how you navigate time management, whether it be how you navigate test taking, whether it be how you navigate living with a stranger for the first time in a residence hall. So this class focuses a lot on really being reflective in who am I as a person, how is who I am as a person going to fit into some of these challenges that I'm going to have to navigate around as a student, and I can start to plan out and map how I'm going to take on those challenges when I become a student. The second class, which is my favorite class because this is the one I teach and this is the one I love, is geared towards helping you to understand when I leave the University of Mary Washington, where's my target? Where am I trying to go with it? And then to walk that back to what are the things that I need to start incorporating into my everyday life? What are the things I need to do to build my resume to make sure that when I leave UMW, I feel trained, I feel validated, and I feel ready to go into the next step of my life. And so this particular course focuses a lot more on career readiness and getting you to start thinking about when you leave the university in 3, 4 years time, where are you going and how are you building a pathway to get there. And this course actually also covers one of your Gen Ed requirements. And so not only do you get to take 3 credits worth of classes in the summer, you get to knock out a Gen Ed requirement earlier than some of the other freshman students coming into the university. And the cool thing about STP is it's a summer program. However, that support continues throughout the entire first year because all participants in STP continue, excuse me, as a cohort in the fall semester by taking a 1 credit class together, which is 1 day a week for an hour, where we continue to do that, to provide that support and to give you the opportunity to continue to develop those skills that are going to serve you while you're here as a student. As well as I get the benefit and the pleasure, as well as my program team, we get the benefit of being your academic advisors. So we get to work with you, walk with you, and support you throughout your entire time at UMW, particularly during that first year, making sure you're taking the right classes, making sure that you're putting yourself in the best position. If you're having a challenge with the professor, helping you navigate how to approach those situations. So again, you're never alone in that process. And just to give some context of that third class that you take in the fall, it is more on communication skills, particularly understanding what are going to be the expectations of me in college as a writer and as a speaker, because everybody's going to do presentations, everybody's going to be required to write and do research. And so getting an early jump into what does that mean for me as a college student in terms of what professors will expect as a writer and as a speaker. Now, I know I've said a lot, and I hope to answer questions that you may have as it relates to STP, but I like to try to answer some questions that I know are going to come up automatically. The first being, how am I selected for the STP program? And so there are a couple different ways in which you can be considered. One, you can raise your hand. So if you've completed the application and raise your hand, then we are assessing students to consider you for the program, as well as we may see on something that you put on your application, whether it be you indicating your first gen, whether it be you indicated that you're from an area that is not highly representative in a student population, we may reach out to you. So you may have gotten reached out to say, hey, did you know this program exists? And if so, you should consider checking this box yes to say I'm interested in being a part of it. But if you have not received any communication about the STP program, it is not too late to be considered. Secondly, how much does STP cost? And the answer to that, it is free 99, meaning it is costs you nothing to participate in this program other than the gas that it takes you to get to the university and the gas that it's going to take you to get home after the 2 weeks. So the only thing that we charge you for is your time, your attention, and your energy. Just being here and spending time with us and willing to learn and willing to commit to the 2 weeks time. Really, it's one weekend that we ask for you to commit to. So the program is entirely free. And last but not least, we do understand that some students have to work during the summer to save money to pay for college and just to take care of personal needs. So that is why I like to reiterate, STP is only a 1 weekend commitment because you move in on a Sunday, you move out on a Friday, so you're only really giving us one full weekend. As well as there are some students who, if you're local and close enough, you can continue to work in the evenings during your time in STP. That is not uncommon. Our day-to-day schedule tends to run early morning to mid-afternoon, late afternoon. But there are some students who are able to take advantage of still being able to work. However, there's another perk that I like to highlight. If you are a student who qualifies as having a higher financial need, i.e., being a Pell eligible student, we want to use our funding, or are able to use our funding, I should say, to support you by offering you a $500 stipend for your completion of the STP program. So for your commitment and missing work during the summer and being here with us, we will then turn around and give you a $500 stipend to say, here's, some money back for the time and the money that you lost while you were not able to work and being here. And again, that's particularly for Pell eligible students, but we know that sometimes that can be a hard choice to say, to go, better my education or to make money and do what I got to do this summer. So if we can put money back in your pocket to support you and being able to say yes to STP, that is our effort and what we desire to do. So that is the Star Center in a nutshell. Again, we are a support hub to make sure that students have access to resources, support, and all the things that they're going to need to make sure that they're having the best experience possible here at the university. And last but not least, before I stop and answer questions, I also want to share that I have the pleasure of being the director of a second program, which is through our College of Education, and also seated under our Star Center. And the name of the program is Call Me Mister. And this program is geared towards answering the call of filling more qualified teachers in our K-12 education system. Um, if you have been paying attention to the news anywhere lately, you probably will see that there are a lot of states, that there are a lot of school districts, that are a lot of systems that are struggling to hire and to the fill in those spaces for qualified teachers in our K-12 system. Call Me Mister was founded in 2000 at Clemson University, and it was initially founded to recruit more male educators into K-12 classrooms because that also was a critical need. However, the program has since expanded, understanding that there's a critical need across the board. And so the program is now co-ed, meaning that we are looking to increase and recruit and train any student that is interested in being a teacher in our K-12 system. I mean, as you can see, the program has expanded since it started in the state of South Carolina to 11 different states, as far west as Colorado, as far as south as Florida, as far east as Virginia, which I'm proud to say I had the pleasure of going through the program in my graduate experience, and as far north as Chicago. So we are a national based program, and UMW is the first co-ed program in the state of Virginia, just started in 2025. So there are a few goals of the Call Me Mister program. As I said, one, our goal is to recruit and to increase the number of qualified teachers in our K-12 systems. Secondly, we understand that when you are transitioning out of university to go to be a teacher in a classroom, we want you to feel like you have had ample time to train and to prepare yourself to be the best teacher you can be, starting with understanding who you are and what personal qualities and things that you're taking with you in that classroom. So we do a lot of personal development and personal training to help our misters really grow themselves as professionals and understanding who they are so that they are ready to serve and mentor our young people in the classroom. Thirdly, we want to grow our young students' connections while they're here in undergrad. So we do a lot of putting our program participants in school systems, whether it be to mentor, whether it be to volunteer, but also to get to know and to interview and talk to and meet school administrators like principals. We just spent time in a school district just a week ago where the misters got to hang out with school principals as well as HR directors to really learn what type of things are they going to be looking for when I come out of my undergraduate experience and come into the classroom? What are you expecting of me when you hire me? What are the things that are going to make you want to hire me? And so we do a lot of trying to connect the dots to give our misters experience in these settings before they even graduate. And last but not least, we understand that college can be a challenge to pay for. So our misters do get scholarship opportunities as well as we try to pay our misters in different capacities for those service learning opportunities that they're partaking in. And so just to wrap this up, with some of the things that the misters do have access to outside of a support team, which includes myself and three other individuals. They do have access to, if they are qualified, Mister meaning they are Pell eligible student, they get a $3,000 scholarship per semester, as well as a $300 book voucher per semester. So that is financial support that goes towards their degree. And those are base scholarships, meaning that we do have funding to provide additional support if misters do have a need for more help in the tuition process. Um, I've already talked about the hands-on learning experiences. And one thing in particular is the misters have access to stipends if they complete a certain number of service hours each semester, whether it be 20 hours and $500 or 50 plus hours, and they can qualify for a stipend of $1,000 just for doing that work of getting themselves in the space to learn and to prepare themselves to be the best teacher they can be. The last thing I would say about this program, and I can speak from this personally, and I can speak from it through my experience as the director, we are training young people to learn to be a part of something that's greater than themselves. And I know some days we all have feelings, needs, and sometimes we want to put ourselves first. But as an educator, is sometimes learning to put myself on the back burner so that I can be the best individual I can be to the whole group, as well as to the individuals I serve. And that can be a challenge. And so we do a lot of work to help our misters with learning what it means to be a true professional, to be a true servant leader, to be a true role model to the students that they serve. And so if education is something that you may be considering, something that you're interested in, I would love to talk with you more about this particular program and how it may serve your needs to be the best educator you can be. So I've said a lot. Hopefully, I didn't take too much time in doing the talking because I'd rather answer questions. So, but I would encourage you to stay in contact with both our programs. As you can see, we have Instagrams for both our Star Center as well as our Call Me Mister program. So don't take it from me what we're doing. Go look and see from the students' perspectives how these programs are benefiting and how they are being a positive impact to the students that we serve. So with that being said, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to answer questions based off of whatever you may have. And I do see, all right, good questions. So the dates for STP, July 5th. So you move in on Sunday, July 5th. Move-in starts at 12 noon and runs to 3 p.m. And then you'd move out on Friday the 17th. So after your last class ends on the 17th at 3 p.m., students are eligible to start moving out. And sometimes it's a little bit earlier than that. But the actual school date starts the last date of August. And so Lexi, that trying to answer your questions. We return to school, and I don't know the exact date, but the last Monday of August is when classes start. So you do have a little bit of gap of time between the STP program and the time that the semester actually starts for everyone. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for that. So how do I sign up for STP? And so if you have received the messaging asking, are you interested? Then you would just simply say yes, respond yes to that messaging and submit. And so that we know that you're interested and we'll do some follow up. If you have not received that messaging for STP, then you can either email or reach out to me today and we'll make sure we get that to you so that we can get you considered for the program and get you an offer. All right. The next question I see in the chat is, will the roommates be random for the summer program? And the answer to that is yes. So we do random assignment for all students, even if there's somebody you know who you are coming to STP with. And I even say that to say we've had twins, we've had siblings participate in the program over the last number of years. And every year we always, follow the same suit to make everybody live with somebody randomly because this is a part of that transition to college, learning how to navigate what it's like to be with somebody that you don't know for the first time. And even if you are planning to be a commuter student, you still live in the residence hall during that 2 week summer program because we do a lot of program throughout the day and we don't want students to miss it. We also don't want to have students on the road just for safety purposes. So whether you're a commuter, whether you're going to be living on campus, whether you know who you're going to be living with or not, everybody does have a roommate during that 2 week time, and it is randomized. All right. The next question I see is when would those who got accepted be confirmed? So if you have been accepted to STP, we will start sending out messaging for next steps. We're actually going into the month of April now. So I would say mid-April is my goal to start sending out those next steps and explaining all the things that you would need to know for moving in for STP, special dates, times, and all the other information that will be pertinent for helping you for that summer experience. So P. Bradley, if you didn't get an email, yes, you can still apply to STP. And matter of fact, if I'm going to put my email address in the chat, if you are interested but you haven't received any of that messaging, if you could just have you or your student, if you're the parent, send me an email, and then I will work with admissions to get you connected, and we'll take it from there. But you can just simply put in that email that I was a part of the webinar. I'm interested in STP and want to know the next steps about applying and getting accepted. All right. Is there any flexibility for early departure on the last day of stars? Yes, and I'm glad you said on the last day. We do have some flexibility um, towards the beginning and towards the end. For some, we understand some students have had to leave early, maybe earlier that morning, or maybe even a day early because they are traveling for family purposes, whatever the case may be. And we have been able to work with students. So yes. The main thing is we need you there for the majority of the 2 weeks because you are taking actual college classes for credit, and we have to make sure that you have ample seat time and are getting the assignments completed. But there's flexibility for students to be able to leave a little bit earlier if necessary. So, good question about the fall course. So the fall course will be folded into your regular class schedule. So, in a sense, yes, there's no textbooks, there are no required materials. We cover the cost of all those things, but it would be free, in meaning that it is a part of your your base classes and tuition. So, you wouldn't have to pay anything additional for that fall class. And good question about, yes, you can drive yourself to STP. The only thing that we ask is for students who do have to drive themselves is to be fair for students who don't have a car here. While you are here, we ask that you turn over your keys to one of the program directors and we'll hold them for you and we give them back to you for whenever you need to leave. So let's say the you're here for the first week and you need to go home on Friday. We'll give you your keys back Friday. We're not going to fight you. We're not going to, try to commandeer those and keep them from you. We just, while you are here during the typical days, we like to hold on to those keys to be fair, to say that all students are being treated the same and, you don't get tempted to joyride. And there are access to transportation that we provide. So we have university vans on site that our counselors use to transport students around town into different areas in those vans, as well as students do have access to the Fredericksburg bus. Now, I love that y'all are asking some amazing questions. Sometimes I don't ever get questions at all, so this is fun. So a typical day in STP. It will start with we have morning study hall, and that's really quiet time for you to wake yourself up and get yourself going during the day from 9 to 10 a.m. So morning study hall or morning quiet time is from 9 to 10 a.m. and then your first class is from 10:15 to 11:45 a.m. You have lunch from 12 to 1, and then your second class in the afternoon is from 1:30 to 3 p.m. And then there's a break from 3 to 5 p.m. And then in the afternoon, after dinner, which dinner runs 5 to 6:30, there's usually some afternoon programming. There's free time for students to travel off campus. There's also we if necessary, we do build in study time in the evening if we find that students aren't taking advantage of the study time in the morning and or getting their work done for class. But we have typically reserved once dinner is over, if there are no evening activities planned by the counselors, then students have free time to go venture the city, to go hang out and do other things that they want to do to get a full feel of the campus life as well as the city life. Yep, Naomi, you will receive that schedule. So that'll be a part of the information that gets sent out mid-April. So you'll receive the daily schedule, you'll receive some important dates, as well as some other information. The dorm that we stay in for STP for the summer is Virginia Hall. So, and if you've been on campus, that's located between Lee Hall and the Cedric Rucker University Center. So right by the big field ball circle. So we stay in the heart of campus during the summer experience. Awesome, great. Y'all asked some amazing questions. I can already tell. I'm looking forward to have you all here and working because I will say Miss Mitchell, my assistant director, her class is a lot of fun because she's a fun person. But I like to think I'm cooler than she is, and my class, we have a great time. And I can say that because Miss Mitchell is not on this call right now, so don't you all email or tell her that I was talking about her because she is a fun person. She's amazing. I call her the Beyonce to my Kelly, my Michelle. I am the backup singer in this group, but I'm a good time. So yes, on 7/5, the moving process will start at noon, and we typically transition at 3 o'clock for to our welcome ceremony, which will start right at 3 o'clock, maybe around 3:30. So move in is between 12 and 3. You can come as early as 12. You can come as later or close to the 3 o'clock time frame. But we just try to like to have every student here by 3 o'clock so we can um, start the onboarding process of getting you acclimated to what to expect for the 2 weeks. Now, if there is a student who, let's say you have a situation where you need to come later, as long as you've communicated with me in advance and we made arrangements, yes, we've had students who might move in later in that evening. We've even had students that might move in as late as Monday morning. But, and we'll do, what we need to do to get you caught up and acclimated before everything starts off. But there are students who sometimes can't move in at the regular window and time frame, and we still, can accommodate and work with you on that. And that is something you can reach out to me directly if you do have a need for accommodation. Any other questions? So the first gen requirement, it's not really a requirement for being a part of STP. It's just an indicator for one of the populations that we do try to make sure we provide intentional support. And first gen means that you are the first in your immediate family to go to college, the part of the first generation. So you might have a sibling who has gone to college, but if you do not have a parent who has completed a 4-year degree, then you are considered first gen. So even if you have an older sibling that's gone to college and gotten a degree, if you don't have a parent or guardian who has completed a 4-year degree, then you are considered a first gen student. Yes, Naomi, great question. So we do collaborate to work with the gym because technically they are closed during the summer, and that's typically the time they're doing maintenance. However, I have a good relationship with their director. In the last couple of summers, we've been able to make arrangements where the gym is open during the STP program, particularly during those windows of free time that you have, 3 to 5, and then sometimes even in the later evening. So that is an opportunity where a lot of students take advantage to go work out. That's another great question, and that's kind of one of those technicalities where, um, and Mr. Brown, you might have some take on that particular question because different institutions, different offices look at it in different ways, based off of a parent having a degree outside of the U.S. I would say we'd still consider you a first gen student, in terms of in the U.S. But
Yes, so that is more of a case by case basis, based upon where that degree may have been coming from, when that degree was kind of earned as well. If you believe that you fit into that category, the easiest thing to do is to apply to STP. It's a pretty simple process as well, and then we do evaluate those. Most of those students do end up being first gen, but we do evaluate that on a kind of a more of a case by case basis.
yeah, and we're not gonna fight you on it. We're not if you
Nope.
say
Yeah, no, we're not doing any, it's not any deep. We're not digging to kind of do any of those background checks or anything. We're just making sure we're validating what you got on the information. Okay.
You sure can rock it. You
Call
can
me
apply
Mr.
for the Mr. Program. I would love for you to do so. Um, so the application is located on, if you're looking at the screen, the blue highlighted page takes you to the website for the program, where you can find the application. So if you've already been admitted to UMW and are an incoming student, you by all means can apply to the Call Me Mr. Program. And that application will come directly to myself and my assistant director. We actually have been doing interviews this semester for incoming students who have applied. So I would be happy to connect with you. And if you have more questions, and I will say if you're on spring break and if you are close enough to campus, we have an event on Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday. We have an event called Call Me Mr. Experience, which is an opportunity for you to see and hear from the program, from our program participants. That event is from 9:30 to 1 ish, because we'll have lunch. It's a series of different activities going on, and I'll see if I can. Okay, I can't put the file in the chat, but yeah, reach out if send me an email and I'll send you the information back for that event. And for any of you all, if you are interested in learning more about that program. Great question. For STP, we do ask that you bring one nice outfit, one business casual outfit, because we like
Mhm.
to take a pretty picture at the end of the 2 weeks time, just to have it to commemorate and hang up in the office to say that we look good and that we can clean up well. But other than that, dress for the summer program is same type of dress you would wear to school on a daily basis.
Bring a jacket because the inside of buildings can be cooler. So do make
Yes,
sure you bring a jacket.
agreed.
Mhm. Well, all righty, folks. We've had a great time kind of talking and working through all of your questions. There were some great questions that happened in the chat as well. So, like Dr. Wilkes said, I am excited to see. I do see some familiar names that I've seen in the application process, but I am excited to kind of see where we go from here as well. So, I'm excited for you all. And with that,